What's up guys, this is Steve from Santec IT Solutions. In today's video I'll be adding a new virtual machine to the ESXi 5.1 and installing Windows Server 2008 R2. To get started we're going to want to sign into the vSphere client. I have a notice here that lets me know that my evaluation license will expire in 60 days. As you may already know, when you install ESXi you get a free 60-day evaluation period which allows you access to all the features in ESXi. So I'm going to go ahead and just close that. So we're going to want to go to the configuration tab and we're going to click on storage. So our first step is to add an ISO file to our data store, and we're going to upload an ISO image to that data store in just a moment. So I just want to show you our data store, and you can see here the capacity, and this is set in the VMware. So when you install ESXi you can designate the size of the disk, and I set it to 60 gigs, and you can see that about 7.5 gigs already been used to just install the operating system itself, the guest operating system on there. So what we're going to do is right click on data store and browse the data store, and here we can create a folder. As you can see, I already created mine and I called it my ISOs. You can create and name the folder anything you want. I already went ahead and created this, so now I'm going to click on upload file to this data store, and we want to select upload file, and now it will bring us to our host operating system directory, and here you can see I already selected the folder that my ISO's in. So this is my Windows Server 2008 ISO file, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and click open, and this is just a warning, and we're going to just go ahead and click yes, and our uploading will begin. Alright, I'll be back with you guys shortly when this upload's finished. Okay, the ISO is just finished uploading. And now I can start creating my virtual machine. So you're going to want to right click and select new virtual machine. And for most installations, typical is good, but I'm going to click custom and walk you through each step so we can go through each and every setting that is available when installing a new virtual machine. And I'm going to name this Win Server 2008 R2, and this is where you would select your data store. In this case I only have one, so that keeps things simple. This is where you can select your different virtual machine version. If you need backwards compatibility you can select earlier versions, but I'm going to stick with the latest version, which would be compatible with ESXi 5.0 and later. It's where you select your guest operating system. In this case we're going to select Windows and Microsoft Windows Server 2008 R2. You would go through the list and find your particular operating system. In this case mine is Windows Server 2008 R2 64-bit. This is where you would select how many CPU cores you want to add to your virtual machine. So I'm going to just leave them at 1. This is where you select your RAM. I'm going to bring that down to 2 gigs for Windows Server. Windows Server 2008. It recommends at least 512 megabytes, but I would go to play it safe, keep it around 2. Here we can create more virtual NICs or network interface cards. I'm going to leave it at 1. That's all I need. And here's your SCSI controller options, ranging from lowest performance to highest performance. So Buzz Logic Parallel would be the lowest performance. LSI Logic and then LSI Logic SAS would be better, and then your best would be VMware Paravirtual. I'm going to keep it on LSI Logic SAS. Now, this is where you would create a virtual disk, or you can use an existing virtual disk if you already created one. You can also not select the disk if you desire to, and you can always create one later, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new virtual disk now. So the disk size that is required for Windows Server 2008 is 10 gigs. That's all it needs, but it's recommended you do at least 40 gigs or more. Since this is just for educational purposes, I'm not going to really actually be implementing this on a network, so I'm going to keep it at 20 gigs. That should be more than enough. And then we can select our disk provisioning options. If you want to provision the entire disk in one shot right off the bat, you can select thick provision. Thin provision, however, will expand as needed. So I'm going to start with thin provision, and it will take up more space as the operating system needs more memory, and until it caps out at 20 gigs. I'm going to leave all these to default, but you can set up independent disk if you wish to. I'm going to just leave that unchecked. So this is our just a quick screenshot of what we're going to have for our virtual machine, what settings we'll have for our virtual machine. What you always want to do is select edit the virtual machine settings before completion. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And then this screen comes up that lets you fine-tune any last-minute decisions you have about the settings. Where we're going to want to go is to the new CD DVD, and we're going to want to click Data Store ISO file. So now we're going to browse through our Data Store directory, double click on that, and go to the file you created. In this case, mine's called My ISOs, and in here will be the ISO file that you want to use for your guest operating system. So what I'm going to do is click OK, and now we have that selected. I'm just going to go through and check everything, double check my settings, everything looks good, and I'm going to click Finish. So now we can see that my virtual machine has been completed. So that was successful, and here it is right here. So we're going to go ahead and power on the virtual machine. I want to click on the console tab. Alright, our Windows is starting up. Right, so you can select what language you wish to use. In this case, I only have the English version. And we'll select Install Now. Now we have a few different options to choose from, which is cool. I'm going to stick with the Enterprise full installation, or you can go with Data Center if you wish. I'm going to go with just Enterprise. That should give us plenty of features, more than enough that we need. You want to accept the license terms. And we're going to select Custom. Now we can select the allocated virtual disk that we created for the free 20 gigs that are available, and click Next, and the installation will begin. During the installation process, your computer will restart a few times. That's totally normal, so you should expect that. It will tell you right here, your computer will restart several times during installation. I'll check back in with you guys when that's done. Okay, our installation is complete. As you can see, the first thing that comes up is the initial configuration task manager, and this will be a very good tool for setting up your server and changing any settings that you might want to change right off the bat. You can also create a domain here. You can configure your network settings. You can set the time zone and also activate Windows. So if you have a product key, this would be a place to enter that. I'm going to go ahead and select that now, and this is where you're going to enter in your activation key. Okay, I'm all set. I got my Windows 2008 up and running, and I just want to thank you guys for watching my video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like me on Facebook.